For the first time, she wasn't just wearing a mask of confidence. She was confident. She had stood up, spoken out, and turned fear into strength. As the night wound down, Seraphine leaned close and whispered, "Elena, this sanctuary isn't just a refuge. It's a family. And families need leaders. I think you're meant to be one." Elena blinked, stunned. A leader? She had only just begun this journey. But in the corner of her vision, she swore she saw a pale shadow slip past the warehouse windows. The man in white wasn't gone. He was waiting. And she knew this was only the beginning. The following week, Elena could hardly focus on classes or ordinary life. She went through the motions, lectures, study groups, late-night ramen runs, but in her mind, she was back at the warehouse. The candlelight. The crowd's applause. The man in white. She replayed every moment, questioning if her defiance had truly scared him off or simply painted a target on her back. One evening, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Meeting at the warehouse tonight. Midnight. Come early." Elena's first instinct was fear. Then she saw the signature at the bottom, Seraphine. When she arrived, the warehouse was quieter than before. No music, no crowd, just a few trusted members and Adrian, waiting with tense expressions. "Thank you for coming," Seraphine said gently. "We needed you here. After what happened, some of our people are scared. Others are angry. But most of all, they're looking to you." "To me?" Elena asked, startled. "I'm new. I barely understand this place." Adrian stepped forward. "That doesn't matter. You stood up when no one else did. You gave them courage. That makes you a leader whether you wanted it or not." Elena swallowed hard. A week ago, she couldn't even look at herself in a gown without trembling. Now they expected her to carry an entire sanctuary's trust. Seraphine handed her a folded note. "We've had word. The man in white, he calls himself Silas. He's been asking questions on campus, trying to sniff out who comes here. If he finds proof, he could ruin us all." Elena's blood ran cold. He hadn't given up, he was circling closer. "What do we do?" she whispered. Adrian's jaw tightened. "We prepare. And we strike back if we must." Mia's voice suddenly rang out from the doorway. Elena hadn't even realized she'd followed her here. "Or," Mia said firmly, "you stop getting dragged into Adrian's dangerous games and remember you still have a real life outside this. Classes, friends, safety. You don't have to carry this alone." The room went still. Seraphine glanced between them, sensing the storm brewing. Adrian's eyes narrowed at Mia. Mia folded her arms, unshaken. And Elena, she felt torn in half. On one side, Adrian and Seraphine offering her purpose, a family, a fight. On the other, Mia, reminding her of the fragile normalcy she was leaving behind. "Elena," Seraphine said softly, "the sanctuary needs you." "Elena," Mia countered, "I need you safe." The warehouse air grew thick, as if even the shadows were waiting for her choice. The silence in the warehouse pressed down like stone. Everyone was waiting for Elena's answer. Mia's eyes burned with urgency. "Walk away while you still can." Adrian's stare was unyielding. "Stand and fight. We need you." Elena's heart pounded. She could feel the weight of their expectations, two paths pulling her in opposite directions. Finally, she spoke. "I can't ignore this. If Silas is hunting us, hiding won't stop him. If I run, he wins. And if I stay silent, all of you lose what you've built." Mia's face fell. "So you're choosing them over me?" Elena shook her head, stepping closer. "I'm not choosing against you. But Mia, for the first time in my life, I feel like I belong. I can't give that up." Mia's jaw trembled. She turned away, muttering, "Belonging isn't worth your safety." Before Elena could reply, Adrian cleared his throat. "Then it's settled. We prepare. Silas thinks fear is power. Let's show him he's wrong." Seraphine unfurled a map of the city across a table. "We have contacts, safe houses, and allies who owe us favors. But Silas has reach. He's clever and he's patient. If he wants to expose us, he'll strike where we're most vulnerable." Elena studied the map, her eyes tracing routes between campus, the warehouse, and the neighborhoods nearby. One spot stood out, the old train depot, Long abandoned, but close to student housing. A perfect place to corner someone. As if on cue, Seraphine slid a fresh note across the table. It had been delivered anonymously earlier that evening. If you want the truth, meet me at the depot. Midnight tomorrow. Silas. A hush fell over the room. It's a trap, Mia said instantly. It's an opportunity, Adrian countered. It's suicide, Seraphine whispered. Elena stared at the note, her pulse hammering. Why me? Why is he pulling me into this directly? Adrian placed a hand on her shoulder. He's testing you. He knows you're the one who stood against him. That makes you the biggest threat and the biggest target. Mia grabbed Elena's other hand. Don't go. Please. Let him play his games. Just stay safe. Elena looked between them, torn once again. But deep down, she knew her decision had already been made. I'll go, she said quietly. If Silas wants me, then I'll face him. Adrian nodded grimly. Then we'll make sure you don't face him alone. But Mia's whisper followed her like a shadow. This is going to break you. The old train depot sat like a skeleton at the edge of town, rusted rails, shattered windows, walls covered in graffiti that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Elena's footsteps echoed across the cracked pavement as she approached, every nerve screaming, "Don't do this." Adrian flanked her, his expression grim, while Seraphine followed a few paces behind, scanning the shadows. Mia hadn't come. She'd refused, her last words echoing in Elena's ears. If you walk into that depot, you're on your own. The massive doors groaned as Adrian pushed them open. Inside, the cavernous hall was lit by a dozen lanterns arranged in a circle. At the center stood Silas, still in his white mask, waiting as if he'd known the exact moment they would arrive. You came, he said smoothly. I admire that. Most would have run by now. Elena steadied her voice. You wanted me. Here I am. What do you want from me? Silas chuckled. Straight to the point. Good. What I want is simple, truth. You hide behind gowns, wigs, names that aren't yours. And these people, he gestured to the shadows, where Elena realized more masked figures lingered. They hide too. But masks are fragile. All it takes is one slip. Adrian snapped, You're wasting our time. If you had proof, you'd have used it already. Ah, Silas said, his tone sharp with satisfaction. But I do. He reached into his coat and tossed something onto the floor. A stack of glossy photos scattered across the concrete, photos of sanctuary members in and out of disguise, captured on campus, at the mall, even near the warehouse. Elena's breath hitched. He's been watching us. Seraphine gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Adrian cursed under his breath. Silas stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. All of this, ready to be delivered to people who won't understand. Parents. Employers. Professors. Unless, he tilted his head, eyes locking on Elena. You help me. Elena's throat went dry. Help you do what? Bring order to your little sanctuary. You have fire, Elena. They listen to you. Convince them to follow me instead. With me in charge, we won't just hide, we'll control who gets exposed and who stays safe. The words struck like a hammer. Silas didn't want to destroy the sanctuary. He wanted to rule it. Adrian lunged forward, fury flashing in his eyes, but Silas's masked followers closed ranks, cutting him off. It's your choice, Elena, Silas said softly, almost kindly. Keep fighting me and watch your family burn. Or stand beside me, and I'll give you power you never dreamed of. The lantern light flickered across the photographs at her feet, lives hanging in the balance. And everyone waited for her answer. The photographs on the floor seemed to glow in the lantern light, every one of them a life Silas held in his grip. Elena's stomach twisted as she recognized faces, Seraphine laughing in a cafe, Adrian slipping into the warehouse, even a blurry shot of herself stepping out of Mia's apartment in the crimson gown. Her pulse thundered. He's been everywhere. Watching all of us. Silas's voice cut through her fear. You see now? I don't need to destroy you. I only need to remind you how fragile your secrets are. But you, Elena, you can be more than fragile. You can be untouchable. Stand beside me, and the sanctuary won't just survive. It will obey. The masked followers behind him shifted, their silence heavy with menace. Adrian snarled. Don't listen to him. He doesn't want safety. He wants control. He wants to turn us into his pawns. Seraphine's voice shook. But if he releases those photos, everything we've built is gone. Families ruined, jobs lost, lives shattered. We can't fight him. Elena's breath caught. The weight of the sanctuary pressed down on her, crushing, suffocating. Silas had cornered them perfectly. Why me? She asked finally, her voice trembling. Why not take it all yourself? Silas stepped closer, his mask gleaming pale in the lantern glow. Because they don't trust me. They fear me. But you? They cheer for you. They'd follow you into fire. That's why you'll lead them to me. For a moment, Elena's knees buckled under the enormity of it. Silas wasn't just threatening her. He was trying to rewrite her into his weapon. Her mind raced. If I refuse outright, he'll expose us. If I accept, I become his leash on everyone. Either way, we lose. Adrian caught her eye, shaking his head subtly. Don't give in. Seraphine, pale and trembling, whispered, Please, Elena. Say yes, just say yes and buy us time. The room spun with voices, pressure, fear. Elena's throat tightened. Finally, she lifted her chin. Fine. I'll do it. Gasps rippled through the room. Adrian's face darkened with betrayal. Seraphine collapsed in relief. But Elena's gaze never left Silas's mask. Inside, her mind burned with a different thought entirely. I'll say yes to survive this night. But I'll never be yours. Not ever. Silas reached out his gloved hand. Wise choice. Welcome to the new order. Elena clasped his hand. The lantern light flared between them, sealing a deal she knew would set the stage for the fight of her life. Silas's grip lingered, cold and deliberate, before he released her hand. You've chosen wisely, he said, his voice a smooth blade. Soon, they'll see that following you means following me. Behind him, his masked followers dispersed like shadows, slipping out into the night. Only Silas remained, nodding once before striding into the darkness. The depot fell silent. As soon as the echo of his steps faded, Adrian rounded on Elena. What have you done? His voice was low, furious. You handed him power. You. Elena cut him off, her voice firm though her chest trembled. I didn't hand him anything. I bought us time. Adrian froze. Seraphine looked up sharply, hope flickering in her eyes. Elena bent down, scooping up one of the discarded photos. She held it up, her jaw tight. If I'd refused, these would already be plastered across campus walls by morning. He wanted me to kneel, but I'm not kneeling. I'm pretending. Seraphine whispered, You're playing him. Elena nodded. He thinks I'm his voice. That's our advantage. He'll let me closer than anyone else. And when he does, I'll find a way to break him. Adrian's glare softened, though suspicions still smoldered. That's a dangerous game. One slip and he won't hesitate to destroy you. Elena folded the photo carefully and tucked it into her clutch. Then I won't slip. Back on campus, Elena's life split in two. By day, she was Ethan again, sitting in lectures, joking with classmates, pretending nothing had changed. By night, she stepped into the gown, into Elena, into the world Silas was tightening his grip around.